So it's been about a week now that I've been in my new apartment, and so much has changed for me in the past 6 months. You see, 6 months ago, I was living in New York City, paying ridiculously high rent, working a full-time job, and stressed out. So what did I do? I quit my job. I moved over 500 miles away to save my mental health, and it was the best decision ever. Do you feel like sometimes you just want to get away? Start over? What if you did take that leap of faith and just left? I promise you, it's not as hard as you think. And with God, anything is possible. Welcome everyone to my channel. If you're new, my name is KB. If you're returning, welcome back. So by the title of today's video, I'm going to discuss how I moved over 500 miles away and I'm currently living in a new city. I left with very little savings, only have some duffel bags, and here I am. So you don't need a lot to move. You do need some courage, you need some discipline, and you do need the help of God. But we're going to discuss all that today. So this video is like a part 2 from my last video. In my last video, it's titled, I Quit My Job. And if you haven't watched it, check it out. But it was something very bold that I decided to do. So here's what happened. I was living in New York City and I was working a full-time job, living my life. But at some point, things just got wacky. I was also in like a relationship that just went downhill. And I was just stressed out, very expensive city to live in, very much a lot happening in my relationship. It all just came like crashing down on me, and I decided that I wanted to leave. Not only leave my job, but I wanted to leave the state of New York. And that's just what I did. If you're in a situation like that, if you're working a job that you hate, if you're in a bad relationship that you know you need to move on from, if you're living in a place where it's just not fueling you, it's not supporting you, it's not the right culture, it's not the right environment for you, then we connect. And I'm telling you that it's okay to leave, it's okay to want something different, and there is better on the other side. Once I quit my job, right, and I broke my lease on my apartment, well, where am I going to go? Well, I went back home to my parents. When I was living back at home with my parents, I took that time to mentally get myself together because, a lot was going on where I was once living. And I needed just time to relax and figure out what would be next for me. So the first thing for you, if you're curious about, starting to plan your move, maybe you're moving out of the city you live in, maybe you want to move out of state like I did, maybe even out of the country, which is amazing. But the first thing is you need to figure out where you're going. Do you want to live somewhere where it's warm? Do you want to live somewhere where it's cold? What are the politics like where you're going to move to? What is the culture like? You need to determine, will this place be a good fit for you? The second thing I would do is set a deadline. A lot of us are like, oh yeah, I'm probably going to move next year, or I'm probably going to move in the next 2 years. But if we don't have a deadline on when we're moving, then a lot of the times our plans will just float in the air and nothing will happen with them. So set a deadline. Like, are you trying to move in the next 3 months, 6 months, 9 months? Know when you're doing it so that you can make your plans accordingly. Your living situation. Number 3, I would say you don't always have to get into like a long-term lease type of situation. Like when you're moving, there are a lot of short-term options that you can do. You can do a short-term lease, like a 3-month lease, 6-month lease. There are places that do these things. You can rent a room. You can do a sublease where like somebody, like let's say somebody lives in their apartment, but they're going to be gone for 6 months because they're going overseas and they want to sublease their place to you and you can live in their place while they're not there. There's lease takeovers. Like for me, when I broke my lease, technically I could have found somebody that was willing to take over the lease for me as long as they met like the qualifications of the condo that I was living in. If I would have found somebody to take over the lease, then that could have been an option, but I didn't do all that. I just left. But my point is, there are short term options if you don't want to do anything like long term that locks you in. If you move and it doesn't work out, there are so many options out there for you. You just have to do your research. You're never stuck. Nothing is ever permanent. So please do your research. I do not want you to be scammed. Scamming is literally some people's full time jobs. Like the amount of scams that are out there, it's ridiculous. So when you're looking at these places online, make sure you call them, speak to the landlord, speak to the leasing agent, do video chats, FaceTimes. If you can see the place that you're moving to, like the unit that you're going to, if you can see it, that would be the best option to have your own eyes on it. But do a virtual tour, make sure these people are legitimate. Just don't go sending people money. Anybody that asks you, oh, you need to send me money in order to see the place, or you got to put in your application before I can even show you the place, that is a red flag. If it doesn't feel right, it's probably not right. Okay, so please do your research. And number four, number five, I'll split this up between like your finances and your job. So with your finances, I find that you want to have a little bit of money before you just go out there and move, right? So I would suggest having 2 to 3 months worth of your bills that you have every month along with your rent. So let's say every month you have $500 in your personal bills, and where you're living, you think your rent may be $1,000, right? So that's $1,500 that you need every month to live. So try to have 2 to 3 times that amount in order to give yourself some cushion. If you can have more than that, then that would be great. But at minimum, 2 to 3 months of your personal bills along with your rent. Cut back on your expenses, right? Those things that you're doing that are not necessities, that are just like the extras. So if you're buying yourself coffee every morning, if you're going shopping every Friday and Saturday because it's like your therapy for all my girlies, I know how it is. We like to shop, but you have to start putting some of those things aside if you're truly trying to prepare for a move, and only focus on the necessities that you need. And with that extra savings from the coffee and the shopping and the going out, you can put that towards your move. Now, the job situation, I applied for 75 jobs before I moved and only heard back from 5 of them. And from the 5, I basically picked, the best one that was for me. And God brought it all together and blessed me with a job. And then from there, I knew where I was going to live. So I was open, right? So maybe you're open and you have a couple of places that you're thinking about moving. I think being open is the best because you don't box yourself in. But if you are very specific, like on where you want to move, that's great too. So just focus on trying to get a job before you move. So it's one less thing you have to worry about once you're in your new place. And let me just back up to your housing. If you're going to go the traditional way and signing a 12-month lease, like in a building or a complex, look at places that have specials, right? So the place that I live in right now, they were running a special like 1 month free on 1 bedrooms, 2 months free on 2 bedrooms. They were waiving the application fee. So basically, there was very little money that I had to put up front to get into my apartment. So look for places that have some discounts, new buildings, new complexes. They're trying to get people in their units because they don't make money if their apartments are vacant. So look at new complexes because they're usually the ones to run these specials. So it's less money you have to pay upfront. So as I stand here in my new apartment, I am so blessed. I definitely feel like it was the right thing for me to do, because here's the thing, like, we are built with intuition. We know when we have outstayed our welcome. You know what I mean? Like, we know when that job that we're working at, when it's done. We know when that relationship that we're in is done. Like, it's a feeling, right? So for me, I just felt like it was time that I move on and start fresh. And I feel like a lot of us are in those situations. Like, life has been crazy these past 4 years since, COVID. And so much has changed. And it's okay to want new things, and it's okay to start over. You can't be so fearful. You have to just step out on faith. If you have any questions about moving, because it can be overwhelming, feel free to drop me a comment in the comment section and just let me know whatever questions you have. I'm totally open to helping you. And I have moved several times before. Like, I've lived in California, I've lived in New York, I've lived in Florida, I've lived in Washington, D.C., a lot of places I've moved around to. So I definitely have a little bit of experience, and I want to help you make your transition as easy as possible. So let me know. That's it. That's all I got for you guys. I appreciate you tuning in. Feel free to watch any of my other videos, but definitely come back, because I have like some more to share with you guys. This is a new journey that I'm on, and I appreciate sharing it with you. So I'll see you guys next time. Appreciate the love. Bye.